here we go, out of the frying pan, back into the fire. And as long as I'm with you, I don't hate the fire.
Well, I'm sad that the relaxation from your break didn't last for very long. That's the whole thing about life. And I think it's really healthy, though, that you demonstrated self-care for the whole community. If you're going to be active in social justice or in anything that has any amount of conflict, you got to take breaks. And you shouldn't feel guilty for taking breaks. They're necessary for your survival, and they make you more productive. Even just breaks in general make you more productive. Americans don't seem to believe in vacations, which is
because we're not allowed to take them, and we're penalized for taking them.
Always. And there's always all this pushback when you say you want to go. Oh, but we need you and blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry. That's part of my benefits package. This isn't a debate. That's not a request. This is more of a notification. So like, this is what it costs to keep me here. Vacations are mandatory, but it's funny. Yeah. Every single time people act like you're taking something, I'm like, that's literally part of my benefit package. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
And it's necessary. If you're going to be productive, you have to take breaks. Yes. So you're not doing anyone any favors by continuing to like drag yourself along when you need a break. And like we were saying before we went live, you know, your kids will only be children once.
Yes.
And you see the shit show of a world that they've been born into. Mm-hmm. Who says it's going to get any better? We don't know that. And their childhood is right now. So you have to prioritize giving them time to just be kids and enjoy their lives. Like, we can't put this stuff off. We don't know how long anything's going to last, how long we're going to last. Like, we don't know.
No. I know before I went on vacation, I'd already been basically like silent at Fitness Protection for almost a month, to be honest, which I didn't love that, but I can't apologize for it either. It was right. I felt like I made the best choice I could. In every moment, there were just more decisions to make in a given day than I was used to having to make. And no cohesive team I could rely on to do things. So I apologize in advance. You guys are going to hear a lot of about 10 seconds before we would have gone live. My vacation officially ended when with shenanigans happening downtown, and there are no medics, and so I'm rounding up the team and getting people to go. So much for my break. Here we go back. Yay! I love that. You are a wonderful, you're a favorite child, Dan. You're not our problem child, because you're not literally our child. You're the best.
I love that you say we can ask your mom for verification.
You know, we might have to have her here. We have a Mother's Day special. Like, everybody, whose mom wants to be interviewed about you?
Oh man, can you imagine? That actually would probably be so fun with some people and their dynamics with their parents, but with others, we don't want to see that. You know who you are.
We do. We feel better about our own.
That's true too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, for those of you that are joining us, thank you for being here. My name is Coach MK. I'm the founder of the Fitness Protection Program. And this is my favorite time of the week when I'm not staring down disaster afterwards, because normally I'm not. But this is the time of the week where I come and I answer all the questions collected in the private Facebook groups that have been burning the hearts and minds of our clients in fitness protection and our various programs throughout the week. And before we dive into that, I wanted to say hi. I'm back. Sorry, it's been a while, but also talk a little bit about something other people might be feeling right now, and that's not vacation burnout, but I should have articulated all this before we got started, but I just couldn't because of all the notifications going off on all of my devices. Get downtown, we need help. Oh my gosh, everything literally jamming my phone at once. So. Which was kind of where I was before I went on vacation, and why I needed one so badly. I needed to physically get away from Denver and all of this stuff, just all of it. And I'm really glad that we did that. It was not difficult to socially distance, luckily, because we just go we go to the lake, and I don't know. I don't like swimming, and I don't like bodies of water of any kind. I don't care if we're talking about a pool or a bathtub. Like if I have to soak in, no, just no. So I just sit on the boat and hide in the shade and drink and eat and read and relax and cuddle, babies while the boat moves really quickly. And then we would stop. We would dock long enough to get gas or play on a beach briefly until the kids realized that like beaches are nasty too. And then we get back on the boat. And just rinse, repeat, dinner out with my husband every night and drinks whenever we felt like it. And it was a really good time, only to come back and then get what I thought. I was afraid it was COVID, to be honest. This is my 4th COVID test, by the way. I just got the results yesterday, negative through it, which is miraculous considering some of my evening activities. But I have been wearing a lot of protective gear, to be fair. It's not I'm just running out there. It's a COVID party, or and we pretended like things were normal on our vacation, but our vacations are super low key. We don't do schedules. We don't do we're here to sightsee and really get to experience a new place. And no, we got this is not a lesson. We're going to be twofering every learning moment from now till possibly January. Allegedly we're starting school only a week later.
Yeah.
Believe it. I think they're going to push it back again, but we can't even go there yet. Knowing that we got learning moments ahead, I'm just like, we're gonna compete for who can do the least and move the least. And I won. Yay. Only to come back, go for one run, and wake up the next day thinking I'm sick. And I laid in bed for a good another 5 days until I felt better. And got the COVID test back. And this is when I reached out to you, and I was like, I don't know if it's something in this. I don't drink a lot of sodas, but when I do, it's something from 1983. And
I did not even know those were still around. I don't know where they went. And the packaging's different because the last time I saw it was probably the 80s.
Probably. You can still get cheer wine too, just not here.
I had never heard of that before. I've only seen it sold in South Carolina. Well, I mean, I'm sure they have it other places, but they don't have it here.
Cheerwine, Sundrop, and Fresca was the stuff.
Never heard of Sundrop either.
Oh my God. If you've heard of Sundrop,
does anybody else know about these sodas?
It's Southern. I thought everybody knew about Sundrop. The factory used to be in Tennessee near Lewisburg.
Well, maybe they only distributed there and went that way, and it didn't make it to Georgia.
Maybe not. It's too fancy for Georgia, or y'all think it's too fancy.
We stick with cola's enough. We don't need anything but Coke. Coke is really all you need. It's the only legitimate soda. Everybody knows that.
That's why it's the word Coca-Cola. You gonna have a Coca-Cola? Yes, I'll have a Sprite. Thank you.
Exactly. Well, I'm glad that you don't have COVID. It just seems like, man, 4 tests seems like a lot, but I'm on my 3rd. So I guess it's really not that many.
Well, they're free at the protest sites. Black Lives Matter gives them. They have an action station that they gives them away. And whenever the station shows up and I pass it, I feel it's irresponsible not to, considering helping out the protest. Even though most of us are wearing masks, you're still in a huge crowd, which we're not, and we're still in a pandemic. So yeah. And I have to remember
they know you can't just decide the pandemic has gotten boring and then magically it's over, because I just keep seeing that other people think that is how that works, and that is not how that works at all. So
no, not at all.
So much going on.
It's a lot. Yeah. So the information I got right before we went live was that an infant had been tear gassed downtown. And this is why protest medics exist. This is the sort of thing that I do. I coordinate with a bunch of medics who have we're not medical professionals. Don't come at me. We don't misrepresent ourselves. Well, some do, but basically you don't want to take an injection from someone who isn't wearing a shirt, for example.
I knew that was coming.
Probably not. Probably don't have first aid. I can't even. If a butt crack is exposed, that person just taped that's just red tape on their helmet. Anyway, don't get me started. But
I just second that I would also be skeptical if I was in an environment that I knew to be high risk and someone opted to not wear clothing. Clothing is protective. That's kind of why we started wearing it in the first place. So typically you only disrobe in very safe environments. So
I mean, you saw me getting dressed in that video where I'm like, long pants, because you gotta like every exit, every entry that gas could get in has to be closed. Like we would tape things down, like sealing a window to make sure. Ask anyone who's been in the military. I think it's for all officers and anyone and conscripts. Like they have to be exposed to tear gas. It's part of the training, and they either do like jumping jacks or push-ups. It's different. You hear different stories from different branches, but yeah, they've all, like, if you were to tell them, like, the guy, can you imagine doing that shirtless? They'd be like, what did you wear when you did this?
Yeah.
So don't let the shirtless guy at the protest give you a shot. If he's talking about an injection, he probably does not have a needle. That's my 2 cents there. This is the part of the protest where movements are messy and people come out of nowhere, and they end in a moment when you're panicked and someone claims to know how to take care of it. Odds are pretty good that they don't. So be careful. Like, you'll know, you use your common sense, you'll know the difference. But not being a medical professional, I'm not here trying to give people shots. I know the difference between pepper spray and tear gas on deployment from the smell and the sound. Pepper spray and mace, for example. One is oil-based, one's water-based. Even and just knowing how to treat it, like, you can make it a whole lot worse if you're not sure what you're dealing with. So again, it's just, I have good instincts in exactly one small niche area. I still wouldn't have, I don't know that I would have been the one grabbing the baby though. Like, ooh, that's a lot. But that's happened right before I came here. But this is the sort of stuff that I was dealing with and why I needed a vacation. And when I got there, I just didn't. I kept, the only thing that was active on my phone was Pokemon Go.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Well, I watched Oprah's masterclass with John Lewis today, and I'd seen it before, but I watched it again, and I just felt so salty that the last time I was sent to DC for like half a second, I was in the group that was going to see John Lewis. And then someone put me in another group, and I didn't want to make a stink. And I was like, whatever, maybe next year. I'll see him next year. This year's not my year. And now those dreams have gone up in smoke, and I'm very salty. I'm adding it to the list of things that I'm very salty about. But just listening to him in that documentary, though, and the people who did get to visit him that trip were like, oh my God, he was amazing. He exceeded all of my expectations. He was like radiating love and high vibrational energy. And he held somebody's hand and like made eye contact and asked them about, what they're trying to do with their life, and just like amazing, like the ancestor, just giving you granddad vibes, the granddad you wish you had. I mean, maybe some people are like over the moon about the granddad they got, but he's a granddad. A lot of us are like, oh, could I have had that guy? Yeah. So listening to all the wisdom he drops in that episode, it's all so much more pertinent now. Because he talks about being knocked down and getting back up again. And if you are thinking that there's going to be an ideal time to do the right thing, it's never coming. Yeah. You cannot jeopardize your values and your soul, essentially, for anything. When you know what's right, you need to do it, and you need to do it right now. Yes. You don't procrastinate. And just looking at all that they went through with like 1960s technology and no personal protective equipment, and being beaten so severely they thought they weren't going to live. Just seeing it's so much like what's happening right now. And the only real difference is how easy is it for people to now share what's being done to them. Whereas before, we wouldn't know for years until images were finally released. And then even looking at pictures of him with MLK and JFK and knowing, when they had some official protection for voters' rights, or maybe I'm mixing up the timeline here. I think actually that's more of a...
No, not really. What's important in the historical context when we talk about John Lewis now is that when he and MLK were alive and they were getting started, how much support did they have broadly
Right.
from the white community and the Black community? Like, how many were willing to publicly align with what they said needed to be done and were willing to go to bat? So one of the fun things, I think we've had this conversation before about fitness protection, is that now that I have business pages, I can see how many people engage with a post. And so I have to look at engagement very differently. I can see how many people clicked on a post, and that might be 1,000. How many like it would publicly want to be like, I feel like seeing aligned with that post.
Seen as, yeah.
But people listen. People listen more than you think. And, or at least I was blown away when I started first getting my numbers a while ago, and they haven't changed. They've only gone up since I started doing this stuff. And like you would think the engagement's gone down, because my average was something like 90, 95. It was high for anything I posted. And now it's much, much lower. But the actual number of people following me, seeking out my stuff and looking at what I have to say is much, much higher.
But they're all like low key.
Yeah, I get it. Like, I'm publicly, if I am not easily controlled. I'm not the person who's going to play the game, and corporate world knows that. So aligning with me could be, if you're not a white man and you are already like facing marginalization of your own, aligning with me might not be the wisest choice. I got that then. I get it now.
Well, it's funny, like at first, if you are somebody who's been enjoying all of the privilege, like you're a cis straight white man,
yeah,
you may think at first, because you're so used to feeling comfortable about doing what you want to do and doing things on your terms, you may think that there won't be any repercussions. But I mean, looking at JFK, I mean, you don't know. And so even that things are getting serious when even the white guys are like, I don't know if I want to say anything. Like, I'm not ready for the fallout. I'm not ready for the pushback.
Oh, yeah.
But I just love his guidance that, there's some things you don't wait for. You want to be in good trouble. Like, do you want to be in a safe, cushy place if you have to sacrifice your soul for it? And I haven't really seen anyone producing content around the damage that racism does to the people that are awarded privilege, but that it's there. But the fact that there's not a lot of writing about it just tells you where we are right now as a society. And maybe later that information will be available. But when you see the things that people have done historically, or even today, where are you psychically to mace or tear gas a baby? What is going on with you? What is wrong with you? What have you lost? What is broken in you? I mean, it's just like the things that people have done and the crimes against humanity and how they just keep going and going and going. And you may think you're winning, but I seriously question how joyful your life can be when you dedicate your day to defending things that don't need to be defended. Your imaginary, arbitrary place atop this man-made social structure. What is that? Is that meaning?
Well, this is why I'm so sensitive to, in a way that almost like gets me in trouble with my Black friends. I'm so sensitive to Karen, because the system that created the oppression that my Black friends live under creates Karens. It gives us power that we don't need, and opportunities to abuse it in a bad moment. And if we're not looking at what creates Karen, then, because it's not like these people, and yes, some of them are terrible and trash, and there's no explaining it or excusing it, but I keep going back in my mind to Amy Cooper, because I had a job a lot like hers, and I can imagine like what I say all the time, like, thank God I'm not on Wall Street anymore. Thank God. Can you imagine if I was still a trader? Oh, Jesus. So, which doesn't make where she is okay, but it's understanding the commonalities that we have, and that any feeling of powerlessness, like, we can talk about that all day long. I'm not, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we don't have a body of literature about how, we talk about how white women are dangerous and bad, but we don't talk about how that's created by the system, and it's not like inherent to the white woman. You know what I mean? So that's where I always, I just want to make sure I'm articulating that. I'm not necessarily asking you to defend white women.
Well, I just want for them, because helping, the resources are there.
Yes.
It's like what you have to decide is, do you want the crumbs of privilege that patriarchy gives you? Or do you want to sprout a backbone and stand up for what is right? Because I will say, people who even say like, we can't judge people by our current standards, you know, when we look at historical figures that accomplish great things, but then we're simultaneously guilty of crimes against humanity. We don't need to judge them by current standards. Why don't we just look historically and see, even at the time that they were doing this, other people were abolitionists. Other people could tell the difference between right or wrong. So yeah, it can be difficult for you to sift through what the culture is telling you is okay and what you should be able to discern is immoral or moral. But other people do it all the time. So it's like at some point you've got to take responsibility for this choice that you continue to make. While other white women are saying it's time to dismantle the patriarchy and all systems that stop people from being able to live a good life. Like ableism has to go, ageism has to go, racism has to go. Yep. You know, there are other people who are getting it. If you're not getting it, you know, there's still people out there that want to help you. I personally am not invested in that, but I will say too, your life is your freaking punishment. So I'm not saying like choke on it, but you know, choke on it. The MK so still advocating for you, but
I'm going to advocate for him. Yeah, absolutely. But that is not why I'm driving to Louisville on Thursday. That's because I have amazing judgment. Where there's going to be a protest with Breonna Taylor's family in Louisville on Friday. So if you happen to be in the Louisville area, it'd be a great day to come out and join me in protest.
There you go.
Yes. I can't believe my husband
mine shut it down. I pitched it and he was like, ooh. You know, he's a worrier, number one. And he's like, you're essentially made of like glass. Like you're not going anywhere. He's just like, you're super freaking fragile. Well, and I just don't want you out there.
If I could tell you, I'm not allowed to talk about them on the podcast. I already asked. But if you could see these women I'm coming with, that's why my husband said yes. Like he's like,
he thinks you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm
There's
jealous.
Really incredible, like badass women that I'm in awe that we're friends. And there aren't many people I'd be jumping in a car with for a 17-hour car ride, having just completed a 13-hour each way vacation drive.
Wow. So normally y'all would have flown, or you always would have driven?
If it was, I would have flown if it had been affordable and not COVID. But as soon as these people said, we're going, you interested? I'm like,
oh, I meant for the family trip. Do y'all usually fly, or you didn't fly because of COVID? Okay.
It's just too expensive. I mean,
okay.
Like that.
There's a lot of y'all
out of reach. So,
and it's a scam that they charge for those tiny babies.
Right. Whew. Well, before we get too far off the reservation, because we are here to talk about, my vacation came to a grinding halt, and then the stress level went back up. But I've been under incredible amounts of stress, doing things that were not normal in a time that already felt abnormal. So I needed to feel normal and a bit rebellious, and I just didn't want to think about anything, so I didn't. So I guess the beginning of that is I realized it's been exactly 5 days since I consumed a vegetable other than pico de gallo or French fry. So I'm like, maybe that's part of why I don't feel myself. Like my skin doesn't look right. I'm not even like, before we even talk about the weight, because I did get weight at the doctor's office the other day, and I was like, because I hadn't really thought about it. I've been wearing, when I'm not in my protective gear, I'm basically in pajamas. And it's great.
That's good living. Well, I almost think at this point, people need to, when you go to the doctor's office, of course, they want their numbers. You can tell them, I don't want to see it. I don't want to know what it is. You can get on it backwards, say, you need this for your chart. I don't need this information. What am I going to do with this information?
It's against me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because is it going to make you feel better? Is it going to make you change your behavior? Or is it going to make you spiral into some kind of other binge? Like usually that information is useless. So I will say
necessary.
Exactly. No. When you come back from vacation, though, I know that feeling when you're like, oh my goodness, if I don't get a vegetable, you just don't feel right. You don't go to the bathroom like you're supposed to. Like your whole body is like, if you don't eat a vegetable. I didn't want to say that.
Thank you for going there.
It's a bad feeling when you're like all just like bloated and
right. That's what I mean when I say I'm bloated. It's not like code for fat. It's code for guess what's not happening. And I've heard a dietitian tell me this. So this is one of the things that I heard in the past few years, and I didn't really pay any attention to it. But there's a lot of talk about the artificial sweeteners killing good bacteria in your gut. What do you know about that? Do you care?
I have definitely heard about that, and I'm inclined to believe it. There are a lot of things you hear everybody selling and marketing probiotics, which are great and all, but there's such a thing as a prebiotic, which is essentially the stuff that feeds your bacteria and helps it multiply, the bacteria that you want. And that's mostly in the food that we don't eat on vacation. Like our vegetables and whatnot, so you probably
it's not in the crab legs. It's not in the crab legs. Potato from Denny. Wow.
I wonder if it could be in the pico de gallo. I'm skeptical, but I will say you feel a difference. You really do. Yeah. And some women who are super sensitive, when they don't get their probiotics and prebiotics, then they're like prone to yeast infections and all kinds of problems that nobody wants. So
it's not from the pool water.
You know what?
I just want to for everything. You guys.
My mom was so I believe it, Sarah. My mom always said, like, you just can't. You're not supposed to sit in water for too long as a lady. Yeah. So I am paranoid about that and spending too much time hanging out in a wet bathing suit. You know, those people who sit in wet bathing suits literally all day. I don't know how they do it. I guess we're all different, and some of us can do whatever we want, and some of us need to be careful.
Yep.
Because nothing will ruin a vacation faster than constipation. You know what? Nothing ruins a vacation faster than a yeast infection. Facts. Yeah. Eat your vegetables, everybody.
Oh my God. So do we have to worry? So when you hear, so this is, if I had to pick the three things that I did on vacation that sort of contributed to this, like I didn't eat vegetables. They just weren't around, funny enough, and they don't keep well on the boat. Like there's no way to cut a salad. I can barely cut a salad on a little plate in a restaurant, much less any of my salad scissors in a big old bowl at home. But the three things that I do that are out of my norm is a lot more sodas than usual. Number two, a lot more big dinners, because dinner is just sort of my biggest meal of the day is either breakfast or lunch. And that's just what my life is like here. It's not a conscious, this is what I do thing. But like at night I have like space, because we always bring our vacation nanny with us, which sounds really posh, but it's like, I tell you, it's not a vacation if you're just if it's just inconvenient.
I think when you say that, you have to go, our vacation nanny. I don't know that you can just say it like in passing. You might have to do like a hair flip or something.
We wouldn't go if we didn't have her. It's like, it's just not worth it. My kids are too little.
That's a lot of kids. That's a lot of kids. Yeah. Other people who have the same number of kids and don't have a nanny don't know what you're talking about, but I believe you because I don't have any kids.
Well, when you price out, the first time we did even a night away, and we wanted to have, and we thought like, hey, why not? The kids are down. We only had 2 at the time, but they were still like really little. We tried to get a sitter, and it was like $45 an hour. Like they charge vacation rates.
Yeah, because they charge per kid and vacation rates. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, we can't do that. So anyway, this is a choice that we've made to do lower key vacations for now and bring the nanny. Bring a nanny. She's, again, it's so cheap, but so worth it. And so wonderful. And we really like her. She's been with us for every vacation now for 4 years, and she's terrific. She's getting ready to have a family of her own. I'm like, not before our next one, please. Thank you. Like,
wait a minute. Are you having another one?
No, she is.
Oh,
she's thinking about having her first. She just got married, and I'm like, please, not before our next vacation. Could you please?
Oh, not before your next vacation. I thought you meant not before our next kid. Okay.
Oh, no. We're done. We wanted more until last year. Yeah. So Kim asked, and she says she's never heard about the artificial sweeteners. It's it's definitely a thing. And it was a thing that I heard a lot about last year. For the past 4 years, that there are all kinds of sugars, that artificial sugars, different types that cause specific types of gastro distress. And because I consumed next to none, my thing is water with lemon and chlorophyll in it, always has been. And it's only really since my pregnancy with Violet that I developed even a taste for sweet things, which that is, I still prefer savory whenever I can, but
I'll have to look it up and I'll put links, notes. So I don't know at what point it becomes an issue. Like if you just have one, soda a week, is it an issue? Is it like all the artificial sweeteners we get in our bubble gum? Like does it matter which one? Okay, I can look it up. That sounds like it has to be a problem.
And which leads me to the second thing. The other thing that I do differently is I drink. And I mean, it's not like I day drink or I'm like falling down or I got a nanny or any, I don't. We still have to get up and take care of the children. And we want to enjoy it. Like I don't, but it is definitely more than I normally would. And it was at least one, maybe sometimes two beverages per day.
And then the good thing though is what you do consistently really is what informs where your body typically lands. Yeah. So even though it's easy to pack on extra weight really quickly in a 2-week vacation, over the course of the next few months, even if you didn't do anything deliberate to get back to where you were, you would drift back to where you were. It's when we come back and we go like really extreme with the restriction in an attempt to get back quickly, then that kind of starts a cycle of restriction and binging that leads to long-term weight gain. And yes, so with the probiotics, honestly, I should put a list of other foods that people should be eating to keep feeding your friendly bacteria in between. I mean, the probiotics are great, but there are a lot of products that are sold that say they're live cultures in there, and there aren't. So like if you buy something and it's at room temperature and it says it's got live cultures in there and it doesn't look cloudy and crazy, it's probably not even true. It needs to be refrigerated. Mm-hmm. And when you're doing it on your own at home, I am not brave enough. We've talked about this and how the hipsters are so bold with fermenting their own stuff. Yep. I'll eat some grandma's fermented whatevers, but I don't want to do it on my own. I don't know. I'm just so afraid that I'm going to accidentally poison myself.
Same. If my grandma isn't here to like walk me through it, forget it.
Yeah, I'm very nervous about that kind of thing. But there are things, like you can find kefir that's always refrigerated. And then there's tons of different kinds of yogurt that really and truly does have live cultures in it. But then these are like a small number of cultures. And it's funny if you live abroad, that's probably the best thing you can do to populate your gut with some random new funky cultures that we have accidentally eradicated our access to in the US. Like there was a time when people didn't rinse off all of their fruits and vegetables before they ate them. And that was a good thing because you got friendly bacteria in your gut that now, by the time we get our vegetables, it's either been rinsed a million times or you have to rinse it because you want to attempt to get some of the pesticides off. So there are things that we lose here that if you live someplace else, you'd have more diversity in your gut.
Wow. That's some food for thought. I don't think about diversity in my gut.
Maybe I know it's like, who would? I just think it's fascinating. Have you heard about the fecal transplants?
Yes, I have.
So amazing. And that's exactly what that is. That's somebody else has a healthy gut full of friendly bacteria, and you're over here like riddled with all kinds of GI issues, and they've tried everything. And what really needs to happen is you need some healthy fecal matter. This is a legitimate medical procedure, you guys. You can get a fecal matter transplant. It just blows my mind. And then the positive health outcomes that come afterward, bananas. Oh my God. It's crazy. It's amazing. I don't know why it blows my mind. I mean, I don't know a dietitian that isn't fascinated with poo. It's an obsession. It tells you so much about how you're doing, and it's amazing. Like the whole GI tract is amazing, but the bottom half, it's crazy all that goes on in there.
That is hilarious. I know that we were talking about we've been made what we have done. We do the Good Belly Challenge, which the flip side to that is it's way more sugar than I normally consume. Like I'll have a day's worth of sugar to get those probiotics in, which doesn't help with it's a different type of bloated feeling, even when it works. And we've been eating oatmeal for breakfast, but
that's a perfect one.
But I can't put my good stuff in it because all my like I'm getting a day's worth of sugar or more with the Good Belly. And I'm like, well, if I can't put my fancy French carrot jam that you and I share, if I can't
knocked out. Did I tell you I finished the honey butter already? I started dipping cashews in the honey butter and it was over.
Yum. I tell you, I couldn't do it soon and not apologize for it. So what we're talking about, I sent Dalia a care package at the beginning of all of this. Was like, just so you know that I see you, and I care. So I'm going to send you food. I can't make life better, but I can make some day sweeter. And I sent her 3 of my favorite things, which are a French, what is it? I forget. It's a passion fruit and carrot jam. It's delicious. Yeah. The second is Velvet Bees butter honey. It's not honey butter, it's butter honey. Butter.
Yeah.
And it's it's just, I can't even describe it. It's like when you see this jar, it's like $30 and but it's worth every I would trade for it.
Absolutely. It got to a point where I was like, I don't think there's anything I could put this on that it wouldn't make a million times better. And so, as bad as I'm not going to say it sounds bad. I had purchased a freshly baked donut and I started to eat it and it wasn't what I wanted it to be. But once I added the butter honey, it was next level.
There you go. Butter makes everything better. Butter honey makes anything genius. And the third thing was that my favorite hot sauce. Yes.
That's been slower to go. It's pretty hot. But it is. Really? Well,
see, I didn't think it was that hot. I'm like,
I kind of thought it was hot, but maybe I'm not eating enough hot stuff anymore because I'm in the land of, Jell-O entrees and mayonnaise,
American cheese slices.
Yes.
I thought maybe like my taste for hot sauce are just completely out of control. I'm like, more. If it doesn't make my eyes water, it's not worth it. But the thing about really expensive stuff, and I stand by this, is that you will savor it because you know roughly how much each spoonful is. Like a cheap bottle of wine, people don't think twice, or they don't even really enjoy it. I think, and this is just my guess, like a $350 bottle of wine, is it really worth that? I don't know, but you were really going to say that it is, and you're going to drink it more slowly, and you're going to be special, like you're going to act differently about that bottle of wine.
I don't know what it was that I was reading. I wish I need to write this stuff down. But yeah, they've researched that just changing the value perception, it doesn't just change the experience, it literally changes what you taste.
Yeah.
What you think about what you're about to eat or drink changes how you experience it. So if somebody packages something in a beautiful way, that is going to change how it tastes. If someone gives it to you in like a used margarine tub, some people use that instead of Tupperware. And
some people talk about everybody in my family.
I use a lot of glass jars. I admit it, but I swear my grandma, she never wants to throw anything away. She's like, we're going to use this until it can't be used anymore. It is not going straight from like this one used to landfill. It's not happening. So yes, but something you get in a container that's kind of like not very exciting versus something that's presented in a beautiful way, it totally changes your experience.
Let me pull. I got to pull up this link now. Velvet Bees, honey butter. There, it just pops up. It's the first thing. You don't even have to finish it.
I did watch this documentary, Daniel, the Fed Up one. Yeah, and I didn't know it was available for free on YouTube.
So sorry, I didn't mean to type over there. wanted to you guys have got to click that link and go see it. This stuff is so good. And it's from St. Paul.
Super delicious.
So good. You can't, it's so good. And it's also it's not so expensive that you wouldn't do it. You would do it and be a little embarrassed about it. And it's that right number. If it was $50, you'd be like, MK, really? But at $20, you will think twice about eating a whole jar at once. You know what I mean? You're really the way you consume it is going to change. As the economist in me is the consumption function, it just shifts because it's so hard to get that to do. You get excited when it happens. And so Velvet Bees Honey Butter does that. It excites me on an intellectually and physical level simultaneously. God, that stuff is good.
And I think putting that type of care into choosing what you're going to eat, it makes a difference when it comes to just regulating how you eat, period. So if you surround yourself with things that you don't perceive as valuable and you eat those versus I love that comment.
All right, Dan just put on the screen.
That has happened to me.
Never always a sewing kit. That's got to be the Danish wedding.
Yes, absolutely true.
Right?
Yeah,
right.
That's a special kind of disappointment. That sewing kit. Yes. So back to what you were saying. It makes so much sense to make sure that what you're eating really delights you in a way that makes you slow down and sense when you're not enjoying it as much anymore. There's a reason why people serve you really delicious things that have a complex flavor profile in tiny portions, because that's how small it has to be for you to really be able to taste it all. So you're not getting the most out of your food or your eating experience if you're kind of plowing through it. But you're gonna plow through it if you don't perceive it as valuable, or if it's not something you see as really decadent or delicious or something you actually wanted. Who's gonna slowly eat something off the dollar menu from McDonald's? For what?
I hadn't even thought of it that way. I'm just there are lots of things when I like that. It's like someone hits a button in my brain, more and when I eat a whole pint of Ben and Jerry's without thinking twice, without blinking. Where'd that go? Wow, that happened to her. Birthday cake ice cream, which is my new obsession. It's the gluten thing that I can have in this form. Amazing. Birthday cake was really good. There's something about that, that cheap white cake, yellow cake, that just no one likes it enough to bother to replicate it in the gluten-free way. But I digress. So I will hoover that, and I do enjoy it because it's just get more on my tongue. That for some reason this costs enough that doesn't even happen. It's just that's 50 cents. Oh, that's about that's $1.04. Make the next one smaller. Anyway. I'm going to be a different type of grandma here. Equally problematic. Yay! So, brings back on the reservation. So the fun fact though, I have a jar right now in my house, and it's the last thing I want. Even talking about it, I'm going to go get it.
You're not craving it yet.
Because I have so much sugar in the mornings, and we talked about how it makes my one very gnarled arthritic finger. It just sets it off. And I'm just sort of I'll have that after I've had a couple days of vegetables.
Well, that's great. That sounds like an intuitive eating win. And it even sounds like you did it on vacation. Even just eating what you wanted was a success.
It was. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm also not worried about what I look like in a swimsuit for obvious reasons.
What is the obvious reason?
Oh, what we discussed. There are certain parts of my body I don't take care of, and that's intentional. It makes it very easy to socially distance.
I don't think anyone's going to be able to dedicate that to memory. Well, I don't know. Maybe everybody already knows about that. We need someone. How come no one's turned in any fan art of Coach MK at the beach? Because I think that could be really funny.
There was a day when someone was really approached me and made a comment about it, and my husband
wanted to let you know just in case you didn't know.
We're in the middle of a pandemic, and this is very nasty. I'm we're redheads, and you are in a swimming pool with a film on the top of it. But I'm the nasty thing. Are you kidding me?
Wow. So someone came up to you to body police you.
Yeah. And so of course I'm like, you got to take a picture of me right now, husband. And he did. And I nearly sent it to you. And he was like, stop. Isn't this what got Thinks in trouble? And I'm like, oh man, you're right. I can't send technically coworkers.
That's fantastic.
So thank you for my husband for reminding me that this is fun, but it is still business. I forget sometimes.
Oh my goodness. That's why it needs to be fan art, and you can just post it and then people can look at it or not look at it Yeah.
That was the only person who talked to me there the whole 2 weeks. So mission accomplished.
Hilarious. Mm-hmm. Man, people are bold. That's all I can say.
Yeah. I mean, people think I'm bold, which is kind of amazing, but I've never
gone up to a perfect stranger and been like, I take issue with the way you choose to groom yourself. I take issue with the amount of natural body hair you've decided to just leave. Like, I would never. Yeah. And I would have to be so close to somebody to be like, seriously, girl, you don't want to shave that? And even then, I would let it rest after she said, I know what I'm doing. That would have been the end of it.
I'm that buzzkill that's like, okay, I get that you don't like Donald Trump, but could we not body shame him? Could we? Yeah,
it's kind of weird. It's kind of not.
You're hurting someone in your timeline when you say these things. Could you just find find anything other than making fun of his body, his age, or what you perceive to be a disability? Like anything else, just like, I don't know. Because there have been
because think of all the good. I mean. Just think of all the other people who will read that and it feels like a gut punch.
Oh, yeah. Even the person who described him as autistic, I was like.
As an insult?
All I did was put a question mark in the comment and they took it down and apologized to me. And I was like, I'm not saying anything. I'm not mad. The next person might be. The next person might go MK on you. Because I get it. It's a learning curve. We have developed a comfort level with some things that are terrible. But that's still a boldness that I've never had. So I threw some hard shade the other day at a very specific person, the shirtless medic, finger quotes move. When I said, because he likes to tell people he has a background in private security. And every time he says that, I just keep thinking of that scene from Knocked Up. You're a doorman. And that flares in my head. So when I put that on Twitter and on my Facebook group, on my Facebook page, everybody who's been to the protest knew exactly what I was talking about. They were like, wow, MK, I know you're capable of it. I've never actually seen you do it. I'm like, that's true. Very few people haven't gotten the full MK experience, and no one at Redheads did that day when they approached me about my hair either.
Oh my goodness. People are out there. Well, I like the idea of like just constantly being aware that we can check ourselves when something naturally just comes up and it's like obvious to us, like, oh, this is a jab, this is an insult. Mm-hmm. Then looking at it a little more and being like, should this be an insult? Like, what am I really saying by using it this way? And if I don't mean it like that, like, how can I clarify that this is funny because this person's misrepresenting themselves, not because I see this other job as being less than.
Yeah.
And there's just so much work to be done right now, internal and external. We're busy.
Yeah. And so I tell you all of that, guys, to tell you this. If you're in a place right now where you're still like having those moments where you say things and you're learning, don't worry about it. Like just try to take the hit and keep on moving. Like no one hates you for it. We're all in the middle of the moment. If you have gained some weight and you're upset about it, guess what? Life is not in a normal place right now. If you have not gained some weight, if you have gained some weight and you really don't care about it, that's okay too. It's okay to be wherever you are right now. It's not because what we tend to think is if you're not where you want to be, it's because you lack discipline or tenacity or dedication, or it's like, no, man, life's just upside down at the moment in a variety of ways. So, and understand that if once we come out of the abnormal place, as Dalia reminds us, we will drift back towards the normal. This is not like who you are. this is who you are under stress in the middle of a pandemic with a whole lot of stuff going on.
Exactly.
I
Your
haven't
body
run in the
is
past 3 weeks.
always
That doesn't mean I'm not-
responding. Right.
I've run once in the past 3 weeks. Once.
Yeah, and that's obviously abnormal for you and who
Yeah.
you are. But it's
Totally.
like your body's always responding to the world around you, and it's doing it to help you. So, just go with the flow. Try and stay in touch with your body and see what it wants. When you get to the point that your body's like, please eat a vegetable that's not fried, then do that.
And you haven't taken a milkshake that has vodka in it. Fair.
Yes.
Fair. It's called a French kiss. Those are really good.
That's hilarious. It's like the stuff that, that's a beautiful thing. When someone is dedicated to your pleasure for the 2 weeks or whatever, like to have that window of decadence where everything that's put in front of you is meant to be like, just hitting all the spots. Sweet.
Well, my husband, the former bartender, directed a bartender. I was talking about there was this drink they used to have at the old Cheesecake Factory back when I was in college called the French Kiss. And I've Googled it over and over again, and I don't get milkshake recipes, like no matter how hard I try. But I remember it had creme de cassis and Chambord and champagne and vanilla ice cream and a few other things in it. But it was just, I'd never tasted anything like it, especially at the age of 19.
I know, right?
So he directed. And we was like, well, we're just going to come up with a couple different iterations of it. And we tried to remake a French kiss with dipping French fries in it at the bar one night. It was amazing.
That's
and I don't regret it. And I wouldn't take it back. My fingers hurt the next day, and it's totally worth it. And I'm sure that all kinds of, bacteria. There were lots of repercussions, one of which you alluded to earlier, from the excessive abnormal sugar consumption in a swimsuit, in the moisture, in a very humid area. Things happen, worth it, and we're drifting back towards normal. And unfortunately, where I happen to be right now, normal is a baby getting tear gassed downtown.
Sucks.
Yeah. Deployed. I'll be joining them after this broadcast. But if you, again, going back to this, if you're going to be, it looks like normal might not be returning anytime soon, because it is not normal to drive to Louisville on Thursday, which we're going to be doing, protesting all day long on Friday, driving back on Saturday. If you happen to be in the Louisville area, come say hi, or just let me know if you want to do Pokemon battle, because the only way my son is going to let me go is if I promise to have people battle him from afar. I'm still learning how to do that remotely, but he's like, you need to, I want you, we have to make friends and battle from new places so I can get hearts. I'm like,
I love how patient he's being with trying to teach you the ways of Pokemon. Because it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Well, I am going to jump off the call so that you can wrap up and get downtown. But I wanted to tell everybody that I'm super hyped to have my Patreon finally set up, and I've gotten clarity on the types of services I want to be offering everybody. I've got my teaser out there for my second podcast, which will be something that's more of a fit for this audience, because it's all about, intuitive eating and body liberation. It's going to have a queer BIPOC focus, but it's definitely for everybody, because I'm all about intersectionality. And I'm doing premium one-on-one touch point services right now. So not the traditional coaching sessions, which a lot of people already have experience with, but a food and mood journal that you do with video. So it's kind of effortless in your life with Marco Polo. And then twice a week, I touch bases with you and keep you moving toward where you want to be. Like, this is the fastest way to get to where you can get back in touch with your body, eat intuitively, bring joy back to the table. So
I gotta say right now, Daniel is yelling at his computer, Marco, to which I can only respond, hello.
It's gonna be great. I love it. Who is this Daniel character, and when are we gonna interview him and his mother?
I think it needs to happen soon. Daniel is one of the amazing lucky men in our programs, and he's a lot of fun. And I knew him. I guess I met you, Dan. Did I meet you the first time at the party bus? I organized a party bus to take us to, because he was dating one of the women that one of my housemates, and we went to This is how we decided to get to a fancy party. You can order limousine. We treat it like prom. I'm like, or for the same price, we could get a whole bus with strip pole in it.
Correct decision.
Yep.
Awesome.
So yeah, he's a lot of fun, and we will have to find an opportunity to introduce him and his mom, who I've not met, to the audience. That would be fun.
That would be great. Well, I'll let you get to all of the weekly wins, and I'll still be listening, but I'm going to go start multitasking on some other things.
Go do it. Thank you for talking. So this obviously went longer than half an hour, but as usual, always worth it.
I'll talk to you later. Be safe out there.
Thank you. I will.
Bye.
Bye. Yay. And by I will, I mean not a chance. That's not how this works, but I'm going anyway. So now we're going to go ahead and get started answering all the questions after we hit up the weekly wins. And I remind myself yet again that I need to get a haircut. That's probably not going to be happening anytime soon. I'm not even sure if salons are open yet, but if they are, I might need to get this looked at, because there's more every time I go to blow dry it. So starting with the weekly wins, we're going to start with the weekly wins for our clients in the Runner Interrupted program. Runner Interrupted is a program for every runner whose journey has been derailed either by life, injury, pregnancy, or something of that ilk. And we have a support program with daily texts and prompts, journal prompts, that to get you through that period, and support threads that will make it seem your transition back into a program like Rebuild, when things change, seamless as possible. It's the support that I would have wanted when during my period of being a runner not running during the pregnancy of 4 baby. Then we're going to take questions. We're going to hit the weekly wins for the clients in the Build program. Build is a program for people who are new to me or new to running in general. Then followed by the questions from our Rebuild program. Rebuild is for anyone who has met a Runner Interrupted, whether you're returning after any period longer than 6 months away and just need a little bit of help rebuilding the habit, refinding your focus, and maybe rebuilding the little parts of a runner's body that keep you injury free. Then Rebuild is here for that. And finally, for those runners who have a modicum of fitness that they would like to maintain in any way, shape, or form, maintain is program for you. And we're going to go in that order with weekly wins followed by the questions. Here we go. In Runner Interrupted, my win for the week is having given myself permission to take things slowly. Last week, my attorney began divorce proceedings on my behalf, and I'm hopeful of getting to keep the house and refinancing in my name only, as my ex is showing no interest in it, nor ever really having wanted to live in it. The slowly, there's so much I would like to do in the space, but I'm not in a hurry. I don't want to trade one set of stressors for a new set, including perfection, speedy changes, and renovations. I'm going to enjoy the extra time at home, as my job can be done almost completely remotely, and the extra time I get with my son and the warmth of the sun. I think that sounds amazing, and that is a win. Recognizing a path before you walk down it is huge. A lot of us don't. We tend to look at the pressures of the now, that we got to be productive, kind of like the beginning of the pandemic. I'm going to cook every day and make sourdough bread and learn a foreign language. And this is no disrespect to anyone who made sourdough bread. I have not. I have not been baking more. I've not been cooking more. I have been doing more of all kinds of other things that I never would have expected. And it's a different type of productivity. And it sounds like that's where you are too. It's great. And Build, weekly win here. After battling high humidity in the Northeast for 3 weeks, we finally had a reprieve on Wednesday, and I was able to jog for 30 minutes with no walk breaks, and it felt great. Yay! That is huge. I did not have a day with no humidity for the past 3 weeks, and I know your pain. It is hard. There were a couple of days where I thought I could run. Nope. After I like big breath of air, I'm like, I don't think I want to run in that. It was a whole thing. There we go. Now in Rebuild, Renee Thompson Hahn ran her first 5K in many, many days. Super humid and hot too. She wore her FPP, Life is a Marathon, Please Keep Going shirt. And even though she wanted to stop at 2.5 miles, she chose to walk the last leg and keep her heart rate down. Tonight will also likely be a marathon of little to no sleep as she gets her 9-month-old grandson overnight for the first time. Pictures, please. That's a win. It's also his first night away from mom and dad, but she's been the only one to successfully get him to sleep at her house during the day. So we shall see. I do not miss those days, but good luck to you. Babies are cute. Amanda K. Blockinger Bailey overslept accidentally, so no run, but she took the boys to the beach for a day trip, and it was so lovely and so needed by all of them. Unfortunately, she sunburned the tops of her feet, but not too bad, as she was able to run the next day. Good for you. That is a painful place for a sunburn. I know, because I got one of those on my vacation. Brian's been wearing my and a 5-toed slip-on little pink shoes that look like I'm not wearing shoes, which is also fun when you walk into a place. People are like, oh, it's shoes. Oh, you're wearing them. What are those? But I forgot to put sunscreen on the tops of my feet and paid the price, and I've got the strangest sunburn ever, but that is a really painful place to have one. Christian Fraser didn't run, but had a telemedicine appointment with her psychiatrist over lunch. Before I finish this, I had my first telemedicine appointment this week, not from the psychiatrist, but with a medical professional. It was amazing. I'm like, wow, doing more of that from now on. Why didn't I do this 2 years ago? This is fantastic. Anyway, so it's not for everything. It's not for every malady, but for this one, it worked. It was super effective, and it's probably the best thing I've ever done. So yes, that was not the COVID test, but that don't rule it out. Telemedicine, pretty cool, gotta say. So Kristen Fraser had a telemedicine appointment, and it's going to be a busy day, so she decided to sleep in a tiny bit and then start work early. This week, she's proud of how much laughter there is in her house. Her husband and her girls are really all she ever wanted in life, and they have a solid foundation and laugh a lot. Just now, that's more important than ever. Truer words have never been spoken. It's a lot. If we laugh, some of us need to laugh to keep from crying. Others just to keep our heads in the game. We need to find something pleasant in it. So congratulations on being able to do that. Phyllis managed to jog for 20 minutes straight yesterday. It's been really hot here for Colorado, so she decided to take it really slow, and before she knew it, 20 minutes went by. She hasn't run for that many minutes continuously since September. Congratulations. That is huge. I love having you back. I love having you back here with me. We hope you and your daughter are doing really, really well. It is a weird time for sure, but I love to coach and love you, and I'm so glad you're here with me, Phyllis. I really am. In Maintain, Francine Scheller and her BRF got each other through what ended up being a 13.5-mile route. Wow. The start temp was 66 and humid, all caps. End temp was 76 with it feels like almost 90. Ugh, it was horrible. Thankful for the stretches of shade when they had it. It sounds horrible. Congratulations on barreling through it. Helen Bermudez-Foley did her long run and successfully fixed her sewing machine. Things you will never hear said about me. All it took was a glass of wine, 2 hours, a screwdriver, an impact driver, and a propane torch. That you might hear about me. Now she can finally make a bajillion things. But she thinks she likes fixing things more than sewing. I think I would just like playing with a propane torch more than sewing, but that's me. Brenda Haskell is proud that despite a lot of challenges this week with hubby's surgery and him falling in the shower at 3 a.m., bless his heart, she got decent sleep and nutrition was good, working hard to make her health a priority. Keep making yourself a priority. You are a priority for us. No one has been through more than you and your husband, and we are proud that you are still here for us to support you. It's a lot. And I'm sorry to hear about his fall. I hope he's doing better. Kayla Meisler ran what was 84 degrees with 90% humidity at 7 in the morning. Sounds terrible. And her stride sandwich had her heart rate jumping into the 170s. I believe it. She's been consistently chugging along, but it's rough. I feel you. On the plus side, she finished an 8-week bar program and is feeling strong. That is something. That is really something. That would make everything rougher. Just bars hard. Whew. So props to you for jumping in and sticking there. Nicole Wood is living her best life of being alone in her house for the first time since March. Whoop, whoop. Her tween daughter is staying with her grandparents and her husband's out of town for work. Obviously, she doesn't love that he's flying every 2 weeks, but she's taking this as a gift. It's not all a win, though, since she ran over her ankle bringing the garbage in, swollen and bleeding. She's glad she ran today so she can feel good about resting tomorrow. Sorry for that. That's terrible, but it's never bad to have a day in bed with Netflix. I know I just watched Breaking Bad, all of it, all the way through. That was what I did this week when I was laid up in bed. And now I know what all the hype was about, but I don't understand why anybody liked Walter White. He was a terrible human being. Oh, my gosh. But yes, I hope you're finding some way as interesting as Breaking Bad to get through the swelling until your ankle's better. Really sorry to hear about that. Jennifer Sutton is back after a week hiatus with the short stride sandwich. Yes, she chose to come back on the day with the shortest run of the week. No pain, no injury. She just needed a break, and now it's good to be back. Proud of you. It is good to be back. It is good to have you here. And yay for no pain, no injuries. Coach Nakia has never ran on back-to-back days prior to fitness protection, and now she doesn't know the difference. I love that. Thank you, Nakia. Susan decided to rage run today and let her heart rate fly a little within reason. Well done. We all have those days, Susan. Doing this once a week has been key to maintaining her mental health lately. I get that. She's continuing to work in more strength and mobility exercises a few times a week for the last few weeks. Really happy about that. And she bought a mini trampoline. I need to hear more about this trampoline, Susan. OMG. I have questions. And so does everyone else as we now transition into the questions portion of our program. Starting with build. I love your quirky run names, but I can't figure out why is it called Bottleship. I love the quirky run names too. And then usually I remember to record a video talking through the workouts and what the zany names mean. And I just plumb forgot to do that in July with everything that was going on. But the reason I called it Bottleship was I think about there a lot of work, a lot of craftsmanship goes into a bottleship. Now, if you've ever seen them, this used to be like a huge hobby. There used to be, you could usually find some for sale in vintage shops or antique stores. This was like a hobby that all kinds of older people had. It's meticulous, very slow work, building the ship inside the bottle, and then painting it and restoring it. And it's so like, I would never want to do it, but I respect the work, the effort, and the consideration that goes into it. Some of these take years to do. And that is a lot like rebuilding. It's not big, sexy, or glamorous. It's not all at once. It's not the of anything. There's nothing superlative about it. It's day in, day out, routine stuff that might not be what you dreamed of when you signed up for a program like Rebuild, but it is the work that you need to respect your own work. And I promise that the outcome, and even if it does take years to get to wherever your vision in your mind is, it's going to be worth it. Just like every ship that has been erected inside of a bottle ship, we respect the work. We know how much you're putting into it, and the reason I called it Bottleship is so that you remember that every time you go out there and you see that word, that is me respecting you and the efforts and the work that you're putting in. Don't you ever talk it down just because you're not where you want to be yet. Key point, but that's why it is Bottleship. Is it okay to repeat a circuit when doing Bottleship? I went through the workout and felt great, so I went through the circuit one more time before my cool down. I know you always say listen to your body, but I just want to make sure I don't push too hard. I think it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. As long though it's the why more than the what. If you're repeating it because you feel good, you have the energy, you have the time, and it was fun and you kind of want to, I'm never going to say no to that. If you're repeating it because deep down you don't think that was enough, it doesn't feel like a workout, you feel like you should be doing more, all of those are shame words and code that pretty strong, code that type of coded language or thought behind it. And, you can give me the right answers all day long. Only you know the truth of what's driving your motivation. And those are, if it's coming from a place of shame of like, or I need to do more, this wasn't quite enough, I really should do more, that I'm never going to agree to. Like, what I assign you is enough. If you want to do more, ask yourself why before you categorically decide to do it. And because I have to ask you why before I'll categorically say yes. There you go. More is not always necessarily better. It really does come down to the reasons. In Rebuild, Rebuild, I've been following Lane 2 for about 2 to 3 months now and running pain-free, which is amazing. Yay, you. That's what we go for. How do I know if I'm ready to try maintain? And how do I stop freaking out about the idea of running for more than 2 hours, which is the longest run I've ever done? Thanks so much. Yay, this is one of our Aussie clients, and you're in the middle of your winter. No wonder you're having a good time there. So all I say about the transition from week 4, Lane 2 in Rebuild and week 1 of Maintain, it's small. It's not a big difference. The difference between week 4, Lane 2 of Rebuild, and week 4 in Maintain is huge. So the question I want you to ask yourself is exactly this. Am I ready for more work? Do I want more work? And if you are ready for more work and you want more work, I'm not going to stop you from going over to Maintain. Do week 1 over and over and over. We do not expect to complete Maintain as written in the first month that you're in there. Get all the way through the first week and then ask yourself, how do I feel? And be really honest about it, because there are a lot of different things you could do. What I usually advise is that first month in Maintain, just do week 1 over and over and over again. And there's a way we're going to be setting up a Zoom tutorial, and I'll talk through this, or Susan and I will talk through this, the different options, but you can do a mass delete of those last 3 weeks and then just copy and paste week 1 over and over again. And that's always a possibility for your first month. adding in rest days whenever you feel like you need them. So that's so how do you know when you're ready? You will when you're ready for more work. And that's the main consideration. And then how do you know whether to stay? You got to remember there's no shame. It's a bigger jump than you might think it is because it's going to add up really quickly. So if you feel like I thought I was ready, but I'm not, don't look at it that way. Just finish that first week and take stock. If that first week was too much, go back and do another week of rebuild and then go try a 1 week of maintain again whenever you're ready. It's not like a binary, I must do what's written. It's a guided DIY giving you the tools to make the empowered choice to give yourself whatever it is that you need at every given moment. So there are no, we can put this together however we like, but that's where I would start. Get through 1 complete week of maintain and then decide how to move forward, because you can just do that one over and over and over again. You can choose your own adventure every single day. You can take a week and do lane 2, week 4 of rebuild and alternate that with the week 1 of maintain for a month. That could work too. So there are endless numbers of options. Let's get through 1 week of maintain and then talk about it if you still have questions. So about heart rate, and about anything running more than 2 hours, no one expects you to do that right away. We definitely want you to ease into that, and there are instructions on how to do that in the membership area of the website. Kind of starting at that 95 minutes and then increasing slowly from there. But again, we need to get through the end of week 1 first. But no, I do not expect you to be able to, or even attempt to do week 3 or week 4 of maintain your first month in it. We really want you easing into maintain as much as possible. And about heart rate, when it says not above 140 and or 150, should I be trying to stay in a certain range? Generally speaking, in rebuild, we give you higher heart rate caps on the harder stuff. And just to keep you in the game, because a lot of walking I know can be psychologically detrimental to people. So it's finding that balance between the, physiological, the optimal physiological place and the optimal psychological place. Because if I can give you walking workouts, most people wouldn't do them. They'd be like, this isn't enough. This isn't what I signed up for. I'm not okay with this. I'm not seeing progress. And they're not going to appreciate what they're actually doing or what their body is, what they're asking their body to do and what their body is successfully completing. So with that in mind, I really would like you to just try to take stock of what that feels like. What does a warm up feel like? What does a cool down feel like? And don't go too far out of bounds. So during those harder intervals, I don't give you caps, and that's intentional. What I do is just try to keep you in a happy, smooth, consistent place when you're doing the easy effort stuff. That's all. And I know, again, that's probably not the answer that you're looking for, but I'm not specifically trying to be vague. I want you to get what you need out of this. And some days it might be running really hard. And on those run intervals, all I ask is that you absolutely slow it down and get your heart rate down during the walk. I care more about how far your heart rate comes down than how hard you push it during the interval. Because final note here, harder and faster is not necessarily better, like ever in general, but it's specifically in this program. More often than not, it's wasted energy. If you go harder than I tell you to or for longer. Okay. Yay, moving right along. Maintain. Karina says, I have a race in August. Woo! How? Where? Tell me more about this race. I've been following training consistently for several months. How do you suggest I run it? It's a half. I'm a slow runner, so it's not like I'm looking at under 2 hours or PR. I know I'll finish it. That's not a concern. I want a suggestion as to what you have folks in Maintain normally do for a race. I hope you're having a great summer too. I'm really excited that you've got a race on the calendar. I have guidelines. I call them my generic racing guidelines, and they can be found on the blog over at coachedandloved.com, coachedandloved.com/blog. I will find those and put them in the chat here. And I'll try to remember to come back and put those in Maintain as well. But I do have guidelines and I give them. I talk about sort of like letting the cat out of the bag very slowly over the course of the race. And they are very generic guidelines that are designed to just, you might be able to run faster, but I would rather you finish a race feeling like I could have done that faster. This held me back. And then really sort of analyzing what parts could have been faster. Because it's like, if I had gone faster in the beginning, then you wouldn't have had energy at the end. That's not an analysis. I would rather you finish like thinking like, I could have done better. I could have done faster, not I screwed up and I had to walk, So we need a couple of races where you don't use everything you've got till we can get to the point, refine your strategy, knowing your body, your fitness, and the time of year well enough, and the course as well, to really just knock it out of the park. But this is where PRs come from. It's first really getting to reconcile distance, effort, and time in a way that you never have done before. And unfortunately, we have the only way to practice is in race situations. So there we go. Exciting. You're going to have that coming up for your first time. And rather than make everybody watch while I go dig the generic guidelines out, but I'm pretty sure if you go and do a search right now for generic in the fitness protection, in the coachandlove.com blog, or click in coaching subsection and look through all the posts tagged with coaching, and it should pop up pretty quickly in one of those two places. Either way, I'll find it and I'll share it too. Hi there, not much a question, just following up. Last month, I asked about going longer. I found the formula for me to take Thursday off, go light on Friday, carbs, 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 water, water, water Friday night, then out the door by 6 a.m. Saturday. I've been able to break 3 hours, no problem, and keep my heart rate in check. I'm only extending these runs every 2 to 3 weeks. Though I recover by Monday, usually they do seem to take a toll physically, so the following week, I stick to the program. Any other advice or thoughts? No, not really. If this is, I'm guessing this is separate. So there is a race week protocol. So if what you're talking about is this is what you do the week before a race, that is separate, and that should be a PDF file in the file section of the Facebook group. Go ahead and grab that. If this is separate from that, the formula, if you found something that works, just do it. I do it. I'm not going to, there's nothing in there that I would tweak. That sounds really, really good. But also think about carbs, I guess, a few days sooner, because this whole notion of carb loading doesn't work the way most of us are taught. It's actually something slow that happens over the course of about 10 days before the race. So having a little, like one extra helping of carbs at your dinner every night for the week leading up to an event tends to be one of the most effective things that you could do. It's much better than, say, a pasta dinner the night before. But that might be trying out too. I play around with spreading the carbs out, but yeah, definitely water, water, water. Can't go wrong with that. Sounds really good. Yay, I'm glad you found something that worked. Hey, Coach, I'm noticing it takes me more like 20 to 30 minutes or so into my run to actually warm up. Is there a safe way to speed the warm-up process, or should I just follow my body's lead on this? There's really not, and I know it's annoying. When I was at my fittest, before when I would have like a longer workout in the middle of the week, excuse me, I know that when I'm at my fittest, it takes about 22 minutes to warm my body up. And that can be really annoying. That's what makes an easy day, an easy effort day fun. By the time you've warmed up, you're just sailing for 40 more minutes. But when I had a harder workout, I knew I needed minimum 22 minutes for my body really to be ready to do it and capitalize on it. It's also something that it keeps me going on a long run too. When I start a long run and it doesn't feel good or nothing's coming together, I'm like, just get to the 22-minute mark, then make your choice. If you aren't feeling better 30 minutes in, recalculate. 8 times out of 10, lately I'm not at my fittest and this is all like new territory, but 8 times out of 10, by the time I get to the 30-minute mark, I feel better, or I feel differently about my head and my body are in a different place. So yeah, no, that's not actually abnormal at all. Most runners truly need that much time to warm up. And you'll see like professional runners might warm up for a solid hour before racing a 5K. So all of this is very good. The fitter you are, conversely, the longer it takes your body to warm up. So congratulations. This is a good thing. It's a great thing, actually. So no, there's no safe way to speed it up. Don't worry about it. Do make sure you're doing silly toes to loosen up, though, before you even start moving. That's one of the better ways to sort of circumvent the warm-up a little bit. General heart rate group. I'm looking into heart rate monitors. Sorry. We are now moving into, so I have a open free heart rate training Facebook group for people who are just interested in the process or the method, and weeks like this when I have a little extra time, we'll take questions from them too. Looking into heart rate monitors, thinking about the Wahoo Ticker X. Does anyone have one or other suggestions? In the past, one of my running buddies, Dove, loves her Wahoo Ticker X. It's what she runs with. I've heard good things about it. Personally, I've never tried one because I'm a polar girl. I've used my Vantage V. It's charging up right now. I might take an evening jog. I'm not sure yet, but There's a lot going on. No, actually, I'm taking a jog. I'm running downtown. What am I talking about? I'm going to run 5 miles tonight, whether I like it or not, as soon as this broadcast is over. Yay. So there's that. So I like my Polar, and I've heard good things about the Wahoo Ticker X. What I tell people is that go for the lowest hanging fruit. It tastes just as sweet as everything closer to the top. Don't spend more than you need to. Don't spend more than you have to. Work with what you've got. If you have an iPhone or any sort of smartphone and you run with it, maybe all you need is the strap, or the strap that works with an app, and that could be Wahoo, it could be Garmin, it could be Polar. There are a lot of different options, but no, you don't have to go buy something really, really big and expensive. Wahoo works just fine for a whole lot of people, as does RunGap. The name just eluded me. Run Tracker, Runkeeper now has, and I believe Garmin both have apps for the Apple Watch, and I've heard good things about those too. Or people who use Apple Watches seem to be very happy with them. I do not personally have one. I don't want to be that contactable or that available ever. As soon as my BlackBerry does, I'm going back to a dumb phone. Yay! I know my staffs look forward to that. Need some help for the larger chested girls or those who also live in the humid hot South. Any suggestions beyond body glide for between boob chafing? Not for me, because it's not a problem I have. I got blinkers, not headlights, and they don't touch. Like even at my most pregnant, when they were, when I was almost a D cup, they still did not touch each other. So I do not have your life, and I do not understand. I'm going to tap in anyone here who has something to say. I'm also going to tap Coach Nakia, who I know has had answers to this before. So running 5 days a week, can't even wear real bras. The results. So yeah, I'm sorry. I wish I had suggestions. I've heard good things about squirrel nut butter, but beyond that, no. I'm gonna have to crowdsource that one. I'll throw that out in the Facebook group. If you have something to say, if you have a suggestion, please share it here in the comments in the live stream, or go over and join the heart rate training. It's Facebook, facebook.com/groups/heart rate training. Go ahead and jump in there, and you can give, if you have advice to give, go ahead and share it. Because I'm sorry, that is not something that I have any experience with whatsoever. There we go. All the questions we've got for this week. Yay! Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me coach and love you. Sorry I've been gone for a while. July is always epic. And by epic, I mean it's a rough month, right? But we're in the thick of summer. It's vacation time generally, so people are slowing down. There's nothing really going on. It's one of those months. It's too hot to do anything. It's backyards and barbecues, some semblance of normality, and all of the things that most of us usually do in the summers have been ripped away from us. And knowing that there's nothing normal about this month, give yourself a little extra TLC. Check out this Velvet Bees butter honey. It's amazing. I promise you. Or just don't forget to do something nice for yourself, even if you can't do what my family did and take a nice little socially distanced appropriate break. You can take a little time for yourself each and every day. And I really hope you do. Even though we don't have races on the calendar, I can't even think that far into the fall. I'm kind of glad we don't have a race on the calendar, because I can't think more than 12 hours in advance. Sometimes 6 hours in advance is like, what are we having for dinner? Man, that's too far. You can't ask me that. It's only 2 p.m. God knows what can happen between 2 and 5 o'clock. Everything. So to that end, where it feels like we're living a whole decade in a day, some days, be kind and generous to yourself, and really make a point to do something for yourself, to get out of the house, to move, physically separate from the situation that's stressing you out. It's one of the best things you can do long term, if you can find a way to do that each and every day, even if it's for only 30 minutes. I promise it adds up. There are some days where you've seen my Strava, you see me post my evening jogs, my evening walks. I love and live for my evening walks. If I have had, no matter how bad a day I have had, I can turn on Pokemon, go for a walk, and watch the sunset around Wash Park, and I remember what it's all for and what I love. And being able to return to that and come back, I can actually rest and relax enough to sleep well through the night, all things considered. I hope you're able to find something that feeds your soul in a similar way and gives you the same ability too. You're coached. You are loved. No matter where you are this week, please know that you're winning at life. And wherever you happen to be this week, if that place happens to be Louisville, reach out and let me know. Would love to see you while I'm in town.